for the winner by unanimous decision and new undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion of the world.
Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira is a fight that many people deemed controversial. More on that later. But it was a fight that many people thought was going to be Alex's toughest fight because it would be the best grappler he has ever faced in his entire UFC career. However, I think we all know, and if you look at Magomed's past fights, he is not this grappler of a Khabib. He is not this grappler of an Islam where he's going to take you down and keep taking you down. No, he's a kickboxer. He didn't throw anything special at Alex, but it was special enough to drop him. Not so much drop him, but wobble him. He didn't throw anything flashy. He didn't switch up his stance. Magomed fights exactly how he fought his previous UFC fights. Round 4, he absolutely did the most weirdest thing by holding Alex up against the fence. I don't know how the judges can call that effective grappling and octagon control and aggression. Round 5, I thought Alex won, but it was a close round because Magomed was doing a lot that he did in round 4, holding him against the fence. But this fight caused Alex to fight gun shy and fight in a way that we haven't seen him fight before in his previous 10 fights. He was so scared to pull a trigger. He couldn't pull the trigger, and it resulted in Magomed landing more shots and becoming the new champion. UFC is now officially boring, one fan said. Alex stuffed all takedowns, 11. It was actually 12. Ankh did absolutely zero damage with the fence wrestling. Pereira landed the better kicks. The UFC needs to fix the fence hugging issue ASAP. And I absolutely agree. And if you look at the judges' scorecards, Mike Bell had round 1 going to Alex, and rounds 2, 3, 4 going to Magomed, and round 5 going to Alex. Derek clearly had it the exact same way, where Saul D'Amato was the man that needs his eyes checked because he had it all 4 rounds going to Magomed and only 1 going to Alex, that being round 1. And yeah, the judges really fucked this one up. I wouldn't say Alex got robbed, but you get the idea. Now, if you see what he said after the fight, he said what everyone said after this fight, including putting me up against the cage. He didn't really do anything, which is an absolute fact. He shouldn't be rewarded. All 5 minutes of that control time came up against the fence at 5 minutes 42 seconds. Look at the strikes. 16 significant strikes to only 9 for Magomed in round 1, 29 to 18 for Magomed in round 2, 21 to 17 Alex round 3, round 4 and 5 went to Magomed. Everybody thought that Alex Pereira was the most exciting striker in the division. You saw the way he fought against me. It's not just dependent on me, it also depends on the dance partner. What if I told you that all the takedowns Alex stuffed, all 12, he landed the only takedown attempt he tried? I knew Magomed won this fight the minute Dana's face was like, fuck. He did not want Magomed to win this fight, and that's when I'm like, yep, the UFC is officially in trouble. Now, did Alex get robbed? No, but that judge Saul D'Amato needs to have his freaking eyes checked, because how are you going to have it 49-46? Round 3 was definitely the iffy round. I thought Alex won, but I wouldn't be mad if he gave it to Magomed. And we can't take anything away from Magomed. He fought the perfect fight. Not only did he fight the perfect fight, but like I mentioned earlier, he fought the fight that he has fought his entire UFC career. He didn't throw anything special at Alex, and it forced Alex to fight in a way where he was not comfortable. He forced Alex to fight on the back foot, which is something that Alex isn't used to doing. So he fought perfectly. Here's another problem that the UFC has had over the past 2 years, I'd say. A fighter will take another fighter down or just hold them up against the fence, and the judges will reward that for aggressive grappling, where it should be rewarded as actual defense from the other fighter. So how can you reward somebody for just holding them down, not doing absolutely nothing? And then you have the hardcore fans trying to say, oh no, it's a great fight, especially when he's holding them up against the fence. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, you are not going to be looked at as a casual for being honest. You'll be looked at as a real fan if you think, wow, this fight's boring, especially because he's taking him down, not doing absolutely anything with those takedowns. It's a problem with the sport, and that's what makes the judging absolutely horrible. MMA scoring should punish failed takedown attempts and stalling. As far as what's next, you know damn well Dana wants to book that rematch more than anything in the UFC right now.
But a fight that close with a champion as great as Pereira has been, do you lean towards immediate rematch?
Probably.
Yeah. On fight night, but a fight that close.
This was the worst thing that could happen to the UFC. I know, don't let GC from Ariel Helwani's show and Jason from MMA On Point tell you any different and make it seem like Magomed is this giant star. No, this whole fight was predicated on if Alex could stuff the takedowns and if Magomed can stop the impressive striking from Alex Pereira, which it was kind of reversed. Alex was more focused on stuff in the takedowns, and Magomed was just like, all right, I'm going to kickbox with you. Alex just didn't say screw it and let his hands go, especially when he needed to the most, because had he done that, he for sure would have won. But with Magomed being the champion, this leaves the UFC at a crossroad, and I guarantee you they are hoping Alex knocks him out in the next fight, because then he'll just go straight up to heavyweight and fight the winner of Tom and John, because now Tom and John is the fight to make 100% with Alex not being your champion. This kind of forces John's hand to take that fight. But now, who do you have as a big star in the UFC? I know in my last video I said Alex is a star but not a superstar, and I think this will definitely show that he is a superstar in the sense that he can come back and beat the man that beat him, same way Conor McGregor did to Nate Diaz. But how is this good for the UFC in the sense that this guy is your champion? This guy is as boring as broccoli. Magomed couldn't draw money if he had a green crayon and a white piece of paper. It's just that crazy, and the UFC is in this tough position. I never thought I would say this ever in my life, but the UFC is in trouble when it comes to stars. Of course, at the end of 2025, going into 2026, Dana will be like, this was our best year yet ever. How are we going to top this past year by what we do next year? That's going to be a thing toward the end of the year. But as far as now superstars, what do you got? Heavyweight is ass. Light heavyweight, ass. Middleweight, okay, Drake is not that big of a superstar. Welterweight, Bilal, not that big of a superstar. Lightweight, Islam, okay, not going to get a million pay-per-view buys. Featherweight, you got Volkanovski, who's a fan favorite. He's probably one of the biggest stars. Flyweight, ass. Bantamweight, we had Sugar Sean. He lost. Now Merab doesn't resonate with the fans like Sugar Sean did. So the UFC is in trouble. Don't even get me started on the women's divisions, because we haven't had a good women's fight in at least almost 4 years. I don't even know how women are still in the UFC. And I'm not trying to be sexist. They just don't put on good fights like they used to in the past. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think we already know what's going to happen next, but I think the UFC is in genuine trouble. And unless Conor McGregor's walking through that octagon, I don't know how they're going to rebound, especially on a superstar aspect.